Zelos have just released a brand new sports watch called the Zelos GT, and this one will definitely turn heads. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ricardo Hawks. In today's world of watches, you could argue that everything is quite saturated. And what I mean by that is whatever watch you want, you've got many options. Want a diver watch? Hundreds to choose from. In the market for an everyday beater? Too many to list. So when Zelos recently announced a new lineup for a steel sports watch, I had to take a look. So just a quick history about Zelos, as they are a micro brand and you may not have heard about them. Zelos was founded in 2014 by a guy called Elshan Tang. And like many of us, he had a passion for watches and he wanted to grow this passion by creating his own line. Fast forward some years and Zelos start outputting some really unique and interesting watches. They kind of built a name for themselves for producing larger, chunkier designs, which also incorporate interesting dial materials. One of the goals for Elshan Tang is to deliver a premium and unique watch experience with a lasting value far beyond the price tag. Okay, so let's take a look at this watch. The release of the Zelos GT includes 6 models, 4 steel and 2 forged carbon pieces, each with its own unique dial design. Now on their website, Zelos say the GT was inspired by the golden era of Grand Tourer cars, inspired by the iconic Lamborghini Miura. The model I have here is the GT Heritage, which is heavily influenced by the famous car, the Ford GT Heritage. These watches all benefit from a 40mm case diameter, 45mm lug-to-lug, and a thickness of 12.5mm. Much like the touring cars of that time, the case has flowing curves and sleek lines. This case is crafted from 316L stainless steel, and I noticed almost instantly that the brushing follows the curvature of the case. A nice touch. There's a thin bezel surrounding the boxed sapphire crystal, which is polished on its outward-facing surface. The rest of the bezel is brushed, and this really helps the watch pop from certain angles. The side of the case is also brushed, with the angled edges again being highly polished. The boxed sapphire crystal protrudes out from the case, and what we end up with is a watch that has a really beautiful and complex multi-layered aesthetic. I just want to keep moving this watch and admiring the way the light plays off the surfaces on this case. This is one of my favorite things to see on a steel sports watch, and this also reminds me of another watch that gets this right, the Christopher Ward 12. The GT benefits from 2 larger crown guards which slant down inwards towards the case. These also mimic the style of chronograph pushers that you find on chronograph watches. The crown guards protect the crown well, yet don't hinder you when coming to making adjustments. And speaking of the crown, it's very easy to grip. It's almost stuck to my finger, a small but welcome trait on any watch. The crown also features the Zelos logo, which is engraved. Okay, so I really want to talk about this dial. The dial itself takes cues from vintage automobile gauges, with the power reserve mimicking a fuel indicator for a more racing-inspired aesthetic. As mentioned before, this particular model features the colours of the Ford GT Heritage, with cyan and orange being opposites on the colour wheel. The basic science of this means that these 2 colours will always look good together, and I can't really argue that here. The 2 orange stripes also resemble racing stripes that you'd find on many cars from that era. Hollowed out skeleton hands feature for the hour and minute tracking, with the second hand being a bold orange colour lacking a counterbalance. Towards the edge of the dial, we can see the minute markers along with that bright orange rail track. At the 3 o'clock position, we have a nicely designed date display surrounded by a white border to match the minute markers. Less is more sometimes, and Zelos have chosen to just have their logo at the 12 o'clock position and the GT name at the 6 o'clock position. This particular model features super luminova on the entire face of the dial, resulting in a really cool nighttime experience, with those racing stripes contrasting the lume. The Zelos GT has a water resistance of 100 meters, which is fairly good. It's similar to many other steel sports watches out there, and frankly, I didn't expect it to be higher. Let's take a look at the bracelet of this watch. This stainless steel bracelet is tapered starting at 20mm going down to 16. A rather large Zelos logo features on the clasp, which has 2 pushes to release. There's a micro adjustment built within the bracelet as well, which is easy to navigate and just super handy, I think, for anyone. The bracelet is fully brushed and features a 2-link style, with the center links having a fun design to them too, with a line engraved down each link. It's almost as if Zelos have given each link its own racing stripe. If you want to swap this bracelet out for a strap or something else, you can do so easily with the quick release pins. I love that more micro brands are picking up the quick release system for the bracelets, It's just so satisfying. On the back of this watch is a steel caseback engraved with the racing car design of the Lamborghini Miura. Inside this watch is the Miyota 9133 movement, which is an automatic caliber with 40 hours of power reserve. This movement has a beat rate of 4 Hz and anti-shock technology inside. This is a well-known Japanese movement, and you can expect an accuracy of between -10 to +30 seconds per day. Okay, so moving on to the price, which is where I think a lot of brands can make or break a new release. The Zelos GT steel model will currently cost $399 or £310, with the carbon models costing a bit more at $449 or £350. Okay, so final thoughts here. What is this watch really all about? Overall, the watch aesthetic is really fun. It's fresh, it's bold, and I'm really impressed by this steel case, which has superb finishing and design. These dials are sure to turn heads, and people will want to know what watch you've got on your wrist. I think the other models are equally fun as well, and the whole lineup offers something for everyone in terms of colour. I am drawn to the striking red of the Rosso model, for example. The Argento is cooler and less in your face, with those subtle Ford GT blue colours. The BRG is of course more subdued with the dark green, and the forged carbon models are for those who, well, love carbon. This watch has the specifications which you'd expect from a well-built steel sports watch, but you're getting a fresh take from a micro brand which continues to fight for its right to survive in an ever-busy market. It really all comes down to price for me. This watch would be less attractive to me at $1,000, but at $399, it's really hard to ignore the intense value for money here. I think this is priced way below what most people would expect, and I can't help but think with all the overhead costs involved, their profit margins are probably quite small. Some watches you put on your wrist and you don't really feel anything. This isn't the case with the Zelos GT for me. I actually wore this watch out to dinner recently and felt really good for having this on. It may be because I really love cars and racing history, so maybe I'm a little bit more in tune with the story here. But either way, this is a very attractive watch, so props to Zelos for nailing the design here. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button to let me know you liked the video, and if you subscribe to this channel, you will never miss a video. Take care, and I will see you next time.